All right, everybody, here we go again. It is episode 18 of the little movie show that just wouldn't die. Somehow, we're still figuring out how to do new episodes of this ridiculous show. Somehow, we keep getting more and more viewers. Somehow we caught the attention of somebody who actually wants me to do a show for them. Like, what are you talking about? But it's true. So who knows where that's going to lead us all. Tonight it is episode 18 of Scene 1 Take 3. We're talking Superman tonight, folks. We're going to be all over the Superman mythos, from movies to TV to the Broadway stage show. No, I don't think there was ever a Broadway stage. That's Spider-Man. That's a different show. Spider-Man had a show. That's different. So tonight, hello, I'm Tom Hutchison. What's going on? I am Take 1. With me today is also Take 2.
Woo! Hey, did you hear about the fly that was on the toilet seat? It got pissed off.
So Take 2 is David Fought instead of Jim Noble. Take 2 is David Fought. What's going on, Mr. Fought?
Hi guys.
Recover from that if you can.
I'm good. I'm okay now. I'm gonna need a minute.
And reduced now to Take 3, Jim Noble returns.
The 3 words you don't want to hear when you're making love. Honey, I'm home. I told you I'd have jokes tonight.
Yeah. We got some folks hanging out with us already. What's up, Mr. Doctor? What's up, Stephanie? Mr. Bishop's here as well. I know Mr. Bishop's been looking forward to this show since we announced it last week.
Yeah.
Should be interesting, folks. Again, we're going to dive into Superman kind of all over the place. TV shows, the movies that are good, the movies that are terrible.
I hear there's even comic books with this guy in it.
No, that's BS. That's fake news. That's fake news. Comics.
Fake news.
No. What is this?
Nobody reads comics anymore.
Yeah. The funny books.
Them funny books?
50s, in the 50s.
Great googly moogly.
I remember when it was like 10 inches of snow on the ground. I'd walk down the convenience store and buy 10 cent comics.
I remember. I'll tell you what, boy howdy. Woman goes to the doctor. She says, "Doc, I got diarrhea. Can I take a bath?" And the doc goes, "Yeah, you got enough."
Oh, God.
What's up, Trish? Welcome in. So as I was thinking about Superman stuff, I was trying to think of where I started with Superman, and I'm pretty sure, and maybe even with David too, pretty sure that the starting for us was the George Reeves stuff, or potentially the cartoons that were on way back in the day that for us were reruns. I have really vague recollections of the George Reeves Superman, the TV show, the old black and white show that I think at some point went color, like maybe for the last season. But I remember the opening pretty well. It was like the end. He's like standing on the moon with like the flag, behind him, like truth, justice, the American way, all that kind of stuff. I mean, there were previous Supermans, of course, going way back, but I'm just talking about like my recollection was George Reeves. And is that kind of, do you have George Reeves, Dave? Because we already know Jim has no clue what the hell we're talking about right
Jim's
now.
Mine was like I went back and was talking about Land of the Lost when I'd go to Kansas City and stay with my aunt and uncle. They had the TV station that played the old Fleischer cartoons.
Fleischer, that's what I was looking for. Fleischer cartoons, yeah.
Fleischer. And I remember that was the first time I'm like, what is this? This is odd and weird. And because if I remember right, did he fly in the cartoon? Or was he still doing the jumping and running?
He was mostly leap a tall building in a single bound. He was mostly jump flying. Yeah. This was very based on Siegel and Schuster, which when Siegel and Schuster created Superman, he was not flying.
No.
He was jumping. He was like the Hulk, basically. He was jumping super far distances, all that kind of stuff, racing trains and, doing crazy crap like that. So that's one of the things that, and we'll talk about this later, but that's one of the things as we got to like the New 52 Superman and Man of Steel, there's reasons why those things were what they were, versus being what we kind of knew, whether from George Reeves or Christopher Reeves or any of the TV shows kind of in between too. But yeah, one of the funniest parts about the old George Reeves show, and I used to watch I Love Lucy as well, but there was actually a crossover with I Love Lucy and the George Reeves show. Now, here's the funny part that I didn't actually think about until I started to do a quick little research on this show. Basically, little Ricky needed a birthday bash, and somebody was going to have a big event, and Lucy was like, well, we got to do something to get little Ricky a better birthday because it's on the same day. And so Ricky is basically like, well, I heard Superman's in town. Like literally, not George Reeves is in town. Superman is in town. And so, she tries to go get Superman to join the party. And then obviously she can't. That's why she's wearing that costume. She's going to wear the costume and jump in and surprise all the kids and so on. But then Superman shows up. Let me say that again. Not George Reeves shows up. Superman shows up in the actual episode. They're like, wait, you're Superman. Yeah, how's it going? Like, this is literally Superman crossing over with I Love Lucy, not George Reeves appearing. It's crazy. I didn't even think about that at the time. Like, to me, I think even as a kid, I thought, wait a minute, I think that's just supposed to be like the actors making an appearance. But the way that it's written, it's like, no, this is legitimately Superman crossing over with I Love Lucy, which is nuts, which is absolutely nuts. What's up, Jason? Yeah, it was a good episode. Super funny, super bizarre. There's a number of Lucy episodes that stand out, but that one's just like, what? What just happened? Like we have George Reeves Superman TV show. There's no Brainiac. There's no Zod. There's nothing. It's just him fighting Al Capone every week or something. And then suddenly it's a crossover with I Love Lucy. Sure, that makes sense. Well, I have a feeling, and I think this tracks, and I have nothing to back this up, but I think that what's her name? Desi, oh my God, Lucille Ball. Lucille Ball was kind of a nerd because she actually, I don't know if you guys know this, she actually helped Star Trek get made. Without her, it might not have been made. And then when you watch the credits for Star Trek at the end, it says a Desilu production. That's Lucille Ball. She literally helped Roddenberry get the show made. And so I have a feeling she was a bit of a nerd, and she was like, this Superman's kind of fun and cool. And she probably stepped up and was like, come on, let's do something. Let's do something a little before geeky was cool. Let's do something a little geeky here. And I'm guessing that's more or less what happened. Thomas says that she got Mission Impossible made too. Entirely possible. I have no argument against that. So George Reeves back in the day, we would watch that. It was Superman, it was Clark Kent. Now Clark in that show, as I recall, was not quite the bumbling dude that we knew, especially from the Christopher Reeve thing, but from the comics as well. He wasn't like Henry Cavill, like smooth, but he wasn't like tripping over bear rugs or anything either. He was kind of somewhere in between, which worked, I guess. He still had the glasses, the hat, the whole thing.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was like I just understood Superman was Clark. He had a secret identity. Didn't read a lot of Superman comics back in the day. Not a lot. This would have been for me like watching reruns of this like in the 70s ish. So I wasn't big on comics at the time. I eventually got into some Superman stuff as I got into comics later, but it wasn't, there was nothing jarring about it. But there also wasn't anything that was like, it wasn't must-watch TV for me either. Like Superman just wasn't it. And I don't know if it was because it was black and white. I have no idea. But it wasn't long, of course, until because here's the other thing. I was watching Batman, which was in color, and you had all of that going on. So that was to me, Batman kind of had to level up, probably just because of the color. And then not long after that, again, all in the 70s, all reruns for me. We got that Wonder Woman show. and we were off to the races at that point with superheroes all over the place. So yeah, it was an interesting time for the 70s, and it wasn't. It was late 70s. Somebody decided, well, you know what? What if we made a Superman movie? I wanted to see the actual release date because I don't remember. It was 78. Okay, so it was actually after Star Wars.
1978.
Yeah. So it was after Star Wars, which probably helped the movie get made because of all the effects that they had to do in Star Wars. They could translate a lot of that stuff to try and make a dude fly, which, not easy back in the day. Star Wars created a lot of special effects. Like, this is how we're going to do this. And then a lot of people were like, oh, thank God somebody figured out how to do these things. Let's make some shit happen. And that was the tagline for Superman as well, is "You will believe a man can fly." And for what they were doing back in the day with essentially blue screen, and having having Christopher Reeve, basically like laying on tables, and some wire work that was probably actually some of the best wire work. Even now, today's wire work is oftentimes really wonky. Like, bodies just don't move properly when they're doing wire work and trying to, twist in the air and do things. But the wire work in Superman was really good. But yeah, a lot of times they were just kind of hanging out and laying on a table too, and just sort of like putting the hands out. Okay, put your hands out, Chris. Go. We're flying now. Do this, Chris. Do that, Chris. So yeah, if you watch some of the making of Superman, it's really interesting. But yeah, it was a cool thing. I did not see this in the theater. I didn't see Superman until Superman 2. I'm not even positive that I saw Superman before I saw Superman 2. Because there was no videotapes at the time, right? Yeah. So if it came out in 78 and I missed it, and then what was it? 1980 was Superman 2. I mean, I probably had no concept of the original Superman.
I'm pretty positive that I saw Superman 2 before I saw Superman 1, because Superman 2 and 1 were both filmed simultaneously.
Right, they were filmed back to back. Right, that's correct. That's correct.
So, and also they recap Superman 1 and 2, and I remember that because whenever I think of Superman, I think of the Zod, but that's actually Superman 2. But also they appeared. They were in the beginning of Superman.
Yeah.
Yep. But they didn't show back up again until Superman 2. That's what I remember the most, is all the Zod. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
At the very beginning, of course, we get introduced to these characters who. Zod is a real character. The other two were made up, so far as I understand it in the comics. Zod was the only real one.
Actually, both of them were later introduced into the New 52 series.
Yep.
Yes. But at the time, Zod was the only character that existed in the comics, right, that they pulled over. But again, I didn't read the comics; it was all new to me. It was cool. That was one of the cool things when I finally did get to see. I mean, again, when you watch Superman 2, you get a lot of the Zod stuff at the beginning. So you get to see Krypton, which was awesome. It was a really cool design. I love the ice bit of it. William was 8 when he saw it. So he's a little older than us, William. A little older than us. Yeah. Just saying. A little older than us. This was a cool design. Krypton got a complete reboot for the movie. I mean, this was not what Krypton was in the comics. Krypton was basically just this high-tech future city in the comics, or futuristic planet, kind of like almost like Coruscant from Star Wars. It basically was just a huge city planet,
city of the future.
Yeah, exactly. And then they turned it into this ice world for whatever reason, other than it looks cool. You get the big dome there, which is their what do you call it? Basically, it's where they hold their trials, I guess, because the bad guys were in there, all the judges were in there, and there we go. And that's how we got the thing started. Was taking bad guys to send them into space, launching them into space with the Phantom Zone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah!
So pretty strong start. I mean, honestly, I just watched this again for the first time in quite a while, and I watched the director's cut. I don't know if you guys know, there's a director's cut of Superman, which is like 2.5 hours long. There's a lot of extra stuff in it. Not a lot of like major story alterations. Just like, here's some extra stuff that we have, and we're just gonna put it in the movie for you. Like one of it right at the beginning was actually there was a scene where some of the council and the security of Krypton actually almost caught Jor-El and Laura from shooting the kid off into space. They're like, hey, wait a minute, they're doing something down there and they're not supposed to be doing it. And they were like, okay, go get them. But then that was it. That was gone. That was the whole scene. And of course we got what we got
Marlon
Brando.
The Godfather himself.
This was another cool thing that I liked about the design work on Krypton was great, and I loved these glowing white clothes. It was super different. Like everybody wore these glowing white clothes. And I kind of wonder, because in and I mean, to contrast, obviously the good guys wore white and the bad guys wore black, right? Kind of typical. Although Jor-El did wear black robes during the court scene, so there's some weird stuff going there. But I do wonder if this was a catalyst when we got to Man of Steel for basically putting everybody in black. Like the entire Krypton race wore black, no matter where they were, what they were doing. It was all black. So it was a little. I just wonder if there was a reason in Snyder's mind, like, hey, are we gonna like go another way here? Who knows? Let's
go the opposite end of the spectrum.
Right.
It's cheaper if you just buy in one color in bulk.
One suit, one color. Just stop monkeying around. Everybody can have a symbol. Everybody gets a symbol, but everything else is the same.
Well, and I remember you said you was going back to that director's cut. That director's cut was actually made for TV. That's what they done. They went in. They when they released on TV, they made a
lot of times they'll do that. Yeah. Well, here's the weird part. A lot of times they'll do that because they cut things out.
Yeah.
And then because it can't be shown on TV, whatever happens to be. And then they run out of time and they're like, oh, well, we've got like this weird footage that we never used and we'll put that back in. And so, a lot of that was like that. And then when the DVDs came out and the Blu-rays, it's like, well, here's the whole thing, folks.
Yeah.
And it goes from like 2 hours to 2.5 hours.
And they've actually done that for Halloween too. They done the same thing. They added a bunch of stuff. They took out some of the killings and added some.
Oh yeah, happens all the time. Happens all the time. King Kong did it. There's a 45-minute extra footage for King Kong on TV. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. The 76.
Oh Jesus.
Oh
yeah.
Okay, which I still need to order.
You get to watch him climb up the Empire State Building.
That's in the first one. That's in the regular version.
It's on extra time because he's a small monkey climbing up a big.
Empire. You said Empire State Building. That's the original. Yeah. No, there's no bonus cut for the 33. No bonus cut for the 33. Mr. Bishop is talking about Marlon Brando. He wasn't worried about remembering his lines. This is true.
Oh yeah,
this is true.
I'm the Godfather. Damn it! Why do I got to remember these fucking funny book lines?
It is not Ursula, Jason. It's now I'm not going to remember what it is.
Oh,
Ursula something.
It's not Ursula. It's
Ursula. It's a U name.
It is U name, but it's not Ursula.
Ursa.
It's just Ursa. That's it. Ursa. Yeah. Ursa and Non. That is correct. Yeah. Ursa and Non. Miniatures were on point. Miniatures were great. The little star thing that they send him off in was cool. Everything was great design wise in this movie. Unlike Man of Steel. We'll get to that later. Unlike Man of Steel.
We got a bunch of movies to get and TV shows.
Some garbage. Yeah. This was we'll keep on trucking here. Superman to me was almost perfect as far as the Superman movie goes, as far as the superhero movie goes. A number of reasons. One is just because of the way, like we talked about with George Reeves, how it sort of maintained what we understood Superman to be from a comic book standpoint. The goofy reporter turns into the superhero dude. All of the ridiculousness of the glasses and secret identities and all that kind of crap. Even just ridiculous superhero acts. Of course, we're gonna they can just ride right over me. It's not a problem at all. So it is still completely watchable. The director's cut is long. You got to be in the mood for it, I think, because it is long and it's not. While it's good, it's not really tight. Like we're going.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. It is.
Yeah. When did you actually first see the? We both saw it out of order, but like when you saw it, Jim, what was your thought? What was your thought? And for both of you, because we all started probably with 2 and went backwards.
Right.
What was your thought process when you saw the first or the second, and then you went back?
Because
they're very different. You get a lot of action in that number 2, and,
right?
The first one is very origin story and the love story and all that.
Yeah, it was confusing because you see 2, and like it's it starts out with all that fun stuff, and then you go back to 1, you're like, okay, like I fucking get it, like oh fucking hell. And he's fucking, and there's the baby lifting up the car, and then Mama Kent and Papa Kent, and then and then going to the fucking city, and fucking Olsen, and fucking, and then they had what's his name, Gene Roddenberry as Lex Luthor.
No,
right?
Gene Hackman.
Gene Roddenberry is a whole different. That's a different thing, man.
Yeah, well, Gene Hackman, Dancing Machine. Gene Hackman as Lex Luthor, as a non-bald Lex Luthor.
Yep.
With hair.
Well, he was bald at the end, but
Did you know the story behind Lex Luthor and Superman?
As far as why he's bald, like Superman made him bald, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the comics, Superman made him bald.
The reason why he's bald technically in the comics is so back in the day, the DC editor at one point wanted to bring Lex, or actually at the time his name was Luthor. He wanted Luthor to be back into the Superman comics, and he goes, "Hey, here's Superman. I think it was like Superman, like 23 or 25 or something. Go back and draw this villain Luthor. Put him into these new Superman books. I want him to be the villain." So the artist didn't even read the book. Went back and saw a bald-headed character who's actually the henchman, because Luthor, the character Luthor, is actually a redhead, and that's the reason Lex Luthor is bald. Is because he went back and drew the henchman, thinking that was the guy who was Luthor, not the redheaded guy. So technically, Lex Luthor was supposed to be redheaded, but he ended up being bald because of the artist not reading the book.
That's funny.
Thinking, oh, okay, that's him right there.
Yeah.
That's how we got the modern Lex Luthor that we know and love today.
It's interesting. I had not heard that part of it. No.
Did his son in the comics have red, long, luscious hair and everything? Lex Luthor's son.
I don't know. I don't read Superman books.
See, guy, that's the thing. Is like I only knew that tidbit because when I worked at CBCS, one of the DC nerds was like, "Did you know?" And I'm like, "Oh God,
did you know?" Well, I just remember like there was a comic run. I think it was the Death of Superman, where it was Lex Luthor's son and Supergirl dated for a while, and he had like long red hair and everything, and so that's kind of probably
that was part of it. Yeah.
So
there's a couple of things that I'm gonna throw out, and then we'll move on to Superman 2. One thing that I thought was cool that I didn't catch before is on the explosion of Krypton in the first one. The little ship goes off, and then it turns around and the planet blows up. In the explosion, it's kind of this slow explosion, kind of like the Death Star, right? Except that like it turns into rocks.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is if you watch the scene all the way through, all the rocks go from being this kind of black and white, and then it all turns green, like it's becoming kryptonite, like right in front of your eyes.
Oh,
right?
wow.
So it's a really cool foreshadowing of like here's all the green, and it's coming your way.
in 3D.
Yeah. The second thing that was interesting was and this goes back to one of the things is like, so we're conditioned to understand that kryptonite is green, right? So it's very weird to me that Jor-El gave that crystal to him was green. Like that was a weird choice to me. Like, why wasn't it blue or red or yellow, like some of his colors? But no, it's green, which is very strange because that's what we associate with with kryptonite. And then when you build the Fortress of Solitude with that green thing, and you go inside, it's lit green.
Mm-hmm.
So again, you've got green stuff floating around in your Kryptonian zone, which is just strange to me. But you know, whatever, it fits with the crystal. But it was like, to me, it was a weird choice. It should have been like blue or red or something. But then here's something that I didn't catch as I watch it. When they introduced Luthor, he continuously is wearing green. Like when you first see him, he's in like green shorts. He's got green shirt. He's wearing a green ring. Like the whole time up until they get the kryptonite, he's wearing green. And then when they get the kryptonite, you don't see him in green anymore, which is, again, it's another one of these like color things that's going through it that I thought was really interesting that they did with from the directing and the storytelling standpoint. It's basically, you know, hey, Lex is the kryptonite here now.
The evil.
Yeah. Which was interesting. And then of course we had the ridiculous finale.
Turn back time with Superman.
Because of course, if you spin the world backwards, you'll turn time back. I mean, that's clearly how things work, right?
There's not going to be repercussions, you know, breaking the time.
No, wouldn't bother anything at all. Really wild stuff. But I mean, it's sci-fi, it's superheroes. We're like, holy shit, Superman turned back time, man. That's crazy.
Why didn't he do that more often? Like when he got his ass kicked, why wasn't he just like, you know what?
Listen. Let's not unpack all of this.
Yeah.
So then we move on to Superman 2 about 2 years later. Now, of course, Superman 1 and Superman 2 were filmed at the same time.
Mm-hmm. You know how long it took to make?
What's that?
You know how long it took to film both those movies?
Well, quite a bit, especially since Richard Donner was kicked, and they had to basically start over.
19 months.
For
19 months.
Movies.
Wow. Just
over 2.5 years to make 2 movies, and oh my god, like, can you imagine filming 2 movies back to back for 2.5 years?
Yeah. Well, and again, you had Richard Donner who got kicked, and then he had to basically come in and refilm the movie.
Yeah.
So you have this new thing where, of course, you've got Superman versus bad guys now, like legitimate bad guys, not just Lex Luthor bad guys. But it also goes into the idea that everybody has is, you know, Clark and Superman are never in the same place at the same time, and Lois starts to be like, what's going on? And of course, as we all know, they go to Niagara Falls, and she figures the whole thing out. She figures the whole thing out.
Niagara Falls where the kids fucking and then he falls. Oh, you fucking jackass!
You jackass!
I've been to Niagara Falls. You're not supposed to do that shit.
Are you sure? You're not supposed. Note to everybody: you're not supposed to lean over the rails at Niagara Falls.
Don't fucking play on the rails on the other side of the rail.
I love how Jim is like so frustrated with this kid. Like, it's this fictional kid in the fictional situation, but god damn it, kid, get off the rail. I feel like at some point in your childhood, you had a rail incident.
It's burned into my brain because it's true. But seriously, it's burned into that scene is burned into my brain where that fucking dumbass kid. I think maybe because I got lectured over this scene. Like when I was watching it with my grandfather, like, don't you ever go to Niagara Falls and do that, or go to anywhere and never do that where there's a drop, like, because Superman's not going to save you, you're going to die. Like, it's like, what the fuck, man? Like,
Grandpa, maybe it was Spider-Man.
It's a movie.
That's funny. That's funny.
Saves him. Superman should have let that kid die. I'm just saying.
So but
went back the next day and then died.
Yeah. Prior to going to the Niagara Falls, of course, Superman has to rescue Lois from a hydrogen bomb that's about to blow up Paris, and he takes the bomb, saves Lois, takes the bomb, throws it into space, where the Phantom Zone has progressively been continuing on its way to Earth, along with all of the kryptonite and everything else that got there. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that could happen. But the hydrogen. Now here's the first weird part. The hydrogen bomb blows up the thing and shatters the thing, and they all get out. But the planet blowing up didn't shatter the thing. Like, I think that's a much bigger explosion of Krypton blowing up with the Phantom Zone like right there than a hydrogen bomb. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy, but that was a little weird. And so off we go into this crazy movie.
The second one.
Yeah, the second one, it's like it's one of these movies where it's sort of like you talked about with Superman 4, which we'll get to in a minute. It's like you're watching it as a kid and you're like, this is fucking great, and then you watch it back and you're like, this makes no sense. I think it was just such a huge. I think it was such a big escalation for a lot of movies that we'd been seeing at the time as kids. I mean, we'd seen Star Wars and stuff, but this was like literally, like we said, you'll believe a guy can fly, and that's what it looked like. It was pretty great. Non and Ursa and General Zod and Neil before Zod and all the good lines.
The greatest line. Son of Jor-El, Neil before Zod. Like, it's fucking awesome. It's like fucking Kevin Smith's quoting it. It's got to be good. You know?
Oh yeah.
And of course, Clark's bumbling leads to Lois finding out that he's Superman. He trips over the bearhead rug, falls in the fire, as you do, and she's like, "Wait a minute, you're not burned.
What happened?
I'm Superman," as it turns out.
We got cancer. I'm Superman.
Yeah.
Oh God.
They fly off to the Fortress of Solitude. They have a little dinner, and then Superman decides, hey, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and dump my powers because I want to just chill out with Lois, which there's no explanation. Like, there's no explanation of why he has to become normal in the movie. It's just, well, if you want to be with a normal person, you have to be normal. Like, why? What's the purpose? There's
a comic book about this. I read it. If you shoot sperm inside Lois, it's going to blow through her chest.
Well, yes, there is that. There is the theories of the weirdness between alien species and so on. And I don't discount that, but there's none of that in the movie. There's absolutely no discussion. It's just a simple thing of, hey, you know what? I'm into this. I dig this chick. I kind of want to probably marry her and do things. And Mom is like, well,
being the greatest human in the universe and marry a human.
Yeah. Well, Cal, this is how we have to do it. He goes in the container, loses all of his powers, and proceeds to become just Clark. So I thought that the kryptonite only became harmful when it was on Earth and not bad in its neutral state. Well, basically, I mean, the idea with the kryptonite is that it because it's essentially the planet. The planet's radiation from like the Earth, like if you go to the Earth's core, there's all kinds of radiation and stuff in there. So the core explodes, the planet explodes. That's what becomes the kryptonite. And then it goes, and there's red kryptonite, there's blue, there's all kinds of kryptonite that does different in the comic books. That does different things to the Kryptonians. So, but yes, that's basically correct.
Yep.
The yellow sun alters chemical composition of these things, on and on and on. Yes.
Yeah.
It's never really explained in the movies. That's more comic book lore. But yes, essentially, you have the core of kryptonite. Of Krypton, rather, coming to Earth, going through what it goes through, and it becomes poisonous or whatever blue and red kryptonite and all that stuff.
I forgot what the blue does. Red makes him batshit crazy.
Yeah. So Clark loses his powers. Of course, General Zod and gang are now in control of the world. Basically, Clark goes back. Here's another weird part of this story. Clark goes back. He's like, well, I got to go back. I got to try and get my powers back. She's like, well, I got to go try. Okay, so go try. So he goes back and he just kind of screams and yells and that's it. Like, that's it. Okay, everything's bad. And then he finds the green crystal again, which had been sat on by Lois. Nice job, Lois.
Yeah. Good job.
Finds the green crystal, it lights up again, and then we cut to New York, or Metropolis. Sorry, Metropolis. And they're there with Lois, trying to get Lois, because if they have Lois, then Superman will show up. Sure enough, Superman shows up because he found a green crystal. Again,
Yep.
you know, just massive plot holes. And then the fight ensues. It's a good fight, you know, for 1980. It's a pretty good fight. It's not Man of Steel's fight, of course, but it's a pretty good fight. And Superman realizes, shit, they're just gonna start offing people here, and so he takes off and leads them away. Unlike Man of Steel, which we'll get to that later, a piece of shit movie.
Oh no!
And then, of course, they have their grand finale in the Fortress of Solitude. And at the end, somehow Clark has another power. Well, and incidentally, they keep just giving these powers, you know. So, like, they're in the Fortress of Solitude, and suddenly they can just like teleport, like,
Yep.
It's like, what is going on? Where did this come from? Suddenly, there are giant plastic S shields that are being tossed around. Very, very odd choices. And of course, you know, they win the day and on they go. But Clark gets one more power, which is apparently the power to erase minds by kissing chicks.
Yep.
So yeah, Lois is bent out of shape. She can't tell anybody that he's Superman. They can't really hang out together anymore. Again, not really sure why.
Bill Cosby.
And so Clark is like, well, let's take care of this problem. One more kiss, and all is right with the world again. Now, here's the interesting part that I don't know how many of you know, and we're going to run back over Superman 2 again quickly because there is something called the Donner Cut.
Yes.
Prior to the Snyder Cut, so I guess there technically was precedent for him to get this movie.
This is over. By the way, just want to point out, 40 years ago, Donner Cut. 41 years ago. How crazy.
Well, no. The Donner Cut only came out about 10, 15, 15 years ago. This was not like this wasn't a situation where it was like, hey, we did this and then like 5 years later we did the Donner Cut. This only came out on DVD like in the mid 2000s, I want to say, something like that. So it's relatively new in comparison. Maybe 20 years old. But yeah, and so I grabbed it because I was like, yeah, let's check this out. And it's a completely different movie, guys. Yeah. Completely different movie. I mean, right from the beginning, literally, there is no Paris story. The Paris story is gone. All right. It starts with Superman 1, where he goes and gets the nuclear bomb that was going to go blow up Hackensack. He sends the nuclear bomb into space, right, where it just blows up. In Superman 2, the Donner Cut, that's the missile that blows up the Phantom Zone, not the Paris bomb. So right off the bat, there's big changes, and then as we come back to Earth and the story picks up again, Lois is immediately on. Superman and Clark are never in the same place at the same time. She sees this picture of Superman in the newspaper. She sees Clark standing over in the corner, and she's like, and she gets out a Sharpie and basically draws Clark Kent onto the newspaper right there. And so she looks at him and she's like, so what's going on, Superman? You know, and he's still, no, Lois, knock that off. That's not real. Hey, Superman. And so she decides to jump out a window. Because Superman is not going to let her die. Yeah. She's like, you won't let me die. She jumps out the window of the of the Daily Planet. And she's falling. Superman races down the stairs in flash speed, like, pew! And he's down at the bottom, and she's falling. And so he looks up and he starts his super breath to slow her down, right? Then he shoots lasers at a little awning. Awning comes out. He gives her one more little super gust to slow her down. She bounces into a vegetable cart, and then Superman races back up, looks out the window, and she's looking up, and he's like, Clark, why didn't you save me? And he's like, Lois, I'm not Superman. Like, that was the beginning of the movie, like a complete shift.
It just blows my mind that she can't put two and two together. Like, hey,
well, she did put it together, but he didn't save her. In her estimation, she's looking up from the ground and he's still up there. Like, oh, what's going on? So she did do it. She did figure it out, but he he did what he did.
Completely debased.
Yeah. So then they do end up going to Canada, to Niagara Falls, but it's a completely different scene here as well. What we saw. What was that?
Does the kid die in that scene?
No, the kid part is still there. That still is all the Clark and Superman is not here. Why am I in Canada and Superman is suddenly in Canada? Like, she puts it all together again. There's no like super plush pink room. Like, all of that's gone.
No.
It's just a normal thing. And so after she saves the kid, or after he saves the kid, they're getting ready to go out. Clark comes into the room and she's getting ready and she's like, yeah, Superman, you're Superman, you're Superman. He's like, no. And then what does she do? She pulls out a gun.
Yep.
And she says, okay, so if you're not Superman, then, or you don't want me to shoot this gun. And he's like, no, don't shoot. And she fucking shoots him.
Yep.
She shoots fucking Clark, and Clark's like,
blank range.
Yeah, and so Clark, it's like bang, and Clark's just, you can see Clark. It's so funny. Christopher Reeves is just like, God damn it, you shot me, you son of. Like, he's just pissed off. He's just pissed off, and then he takes his glasses off. And he's like, ugh. And and he says, she says, Lois, if I hadn't been Superman, Clark Kent would be dead. Because like, fuck yeah, she would have just killed Clark. And she goes, by shooting blanks. So she had blanks in the gun the whole time.
Oh my God!
She tricked Superman into revealing himself.
the old blank switcheroo, like
yeah. So crazy. It's so crazy. And so of course they go off and they go off to the Fortress of Solitude again and do that part. But this time, and this is an interesting scene. There's a couple of interesting things about this. This time, instead of talking to Mom, Superman actually talks to Dad again. Marlon Brando did return for the Donner portion of this movie, and then they were cut out. A couple interesting things to look at here. Number one, if you look at Clark, he's wearing like civilian clothes. All right. Why? I don't understand why that happened. Why he's in like his suit. Kind of strange. But two, if you look over to the left, Lois is literally wearing the Superman shirt. Like, you can see her when she walks out. She's actually wearing the Superman shirt, which is kind of funny. But basically Jor-El here is like, hey man, look, we can do this. It's same thing. It's like, you have to lose your powers. If you want to be with them, you have to be like them. You have to lose your powers. But he really is like, hey, you got to think about this, dude, because there's no way to fix this if we do this. And they keep pounding that home. There's no way to fix it. There's no way to change it. Are you sure you want to do it? Yeah, Dad. He goes in the thing, which is a little different from the other version too. Like even the chamber is a little bit different. He loses his powers, and then of course they go on. So this was a way more dramatic scene, like way more dramatic than Mom. And they really tried to pound home the idea of, hey, dumbass, think about what you're doing. Which is a little weird, because you kind of would think like, hey, my son's happy, I want him to be happy. But Jor-El was very much like,
no,
you're a dumbass. Like, you can fly and you can save people and you can be important, but you're gonna dump everything for a girl. Like, it was kind of it was a weird, but it was a really good setup. You know what? I forgot. There was a really funny scene earlier. Luthor and Miss Tessmacher find the Fortress of Solitude, and they're driving around on a snowmobile.
Yep. And
they get there, and there's all this water, between them and the thing. So basically, they just drive it into the water, and all of a sudden, like, this floating pontoon stuff like comes out from underneath it. Like, where are you guys getting this crazy pontoon floaty thing? It was weird. So we have Superman losing his powers, of course. A lot of what's left is similar to the original movie.
Yeah.
Little small changes here or there, little dialogue changes. Go ahead.
They got rid of the shield, thank God. The whole shield.
Oh yeah, that's at the very end. The shield thing is gone. There's really no fight in the finale.
No.
So he gets his powers back. They have a different fight in the city. Again, basically the same. A lot of the comedy was removed from that. Like there's all this stuff like the dude on the roller skates going backwards, like that's gone. There's the part where the dude's in the phone and it tips over and he gets blown away and he's just laughing while he's laying on his back.
Yeah.
That's gone. You know, there's a lot of the comedy stuff was gone.
Did they take out the was that the diner scene? The one that had the diner scene when like he lost his power?
No, Diner's still there.
Okay,
Yeah, Diner's still there, where he gets his butt kicked. Yeah, Diner's still there.
I love that scene. That's one of my favorite scenes in the movie. I don't know why, but I love that one.
There was one crazy scene when Zod and gang take over the White House, where Zod gets a gun and just starts shooting people.
Yeah,
like look at the smile on his face. He's just like, yeah. Pew, 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 pew.
Oh my God, where's that? Need that.
That was awesome.
And then again, they do the fight. They get there. Basically, the majority of it is the same. Now, here's the funny part. Here's the part that I didn't know this information until I did a little research on it, because the end of the movie is the same as the end of part 1 of the Superman movie. He goes back in time again, and basically goes all the way back in time to the point where the Phantom Zone explodes. So he basically erases the entire movie. and then you know, and then they pick up and go forward where Lois is like, I feel like I have this big story, but I can't remember what it is. That blew my mind, like when I saw that Donner cut. But here's what I found out. Because, as we talked about, because they were filming these two movies at the same time, this was the original ending for number 2. But when they found out that they weren't going to use it for number 2, they moved it to number 1.
Oh,
there it is. There it is. Cool. Now, I don't know what the real finale was for number 1 that they switched. Maybe they didn't have one at the time. But yeah, this was the legitimate end of number 2, and they moved it to be the ending of number 1.
Man.
Isn't that crazy? Like, because when I watched this movie and he went back in time again, I was like, "Yo, dude, they did the same ending 2 times. Like, what sense does that make?" But there it is. There's that little bit of information that kind of changes the whole thing around. If you haven't seen the Donner cut, I 100% recommend seeing it.
Yeah,
100%.
Oh yeah.
The footage is all really good. There's only a couple of kind of shaky scenes that weren't really finished. But all of it was really good. And if you like Superman 2, I think you'll like this one. Mm-hmm. I think it's better in most ways. I think the ending falls flat because of all of the jumbling of how it all worked. But I also don't like the idea that he can just fly back in time anytime he wants and like oh, let's just erase this story and then we'll do it again. You know, it's like that's a really terrible power to give Clark Kent, or Superman. It's just a terrible ability to run back in time or fly back in time or whatever it is. Just dumb. It's just dumb. And here's the dumber part is, you know, you'd think about like he's spinning the Earth backwards to send the Earth back in time, but spinning the Earth backwards is affecting the entire universe.
Yep.
It's not even just affecting that, because it's affecting even the Phantom Zone and everything. So even as he's spinning the Earth back in time, the entire universe is going back in time.
The multiverse is all
multiverse.
Correct. Yeah. So it's kind of jacked up. It's kind of jacked up.
Maybe it was just close enough to get in the gravitational pull to go backwards.
Yeah, it is a better film, I think. There are things about what they did with the released version that I like. And maybe some of that's just nostalgia because that's what I grew up with. But there's stuff that I like there. But the stuff that, you know, and then there's really weird crap like Lois just like pulling a gun out, but it's blanks. I mean, they explain stuff, but it is really weird. It's just what it is. It's just what it is. So, Superman 2, definitely watch the Donner cut. 100% recommend it. Especially if you're a big fan of the franchise or even just alternate versions. Because a lot of times we get an alternate ending, but this is legitimately an alternate version, which isn't what you get too often until you do the Snyder cut.
Oh,
20 some odd years later. So yeah. So on to Superman. Oh God, sorry guys. On to Superman 3. This fucking weird thing.
Yeah, look at that. Greatest comedian of all time, Richard Pryor in Superman. You know the reason why he was in Superman 3 is because he did an interview with Johnny Carson on the Tonight Show.
Yeah.
And he said he really liked Superman 2. And the guy making Superman 3 was like, I'm going to ask him to be in Superman 3. So that's how you got Richard Pryor.
That's crazy.
Richard Pryor was paid $4 million.
Exactly how it happened.
Not only was he paid $4 million, but he also signed a contract with Columbia, a 5-year picture deal for $40 million. So it was really good to be Richard Pryor in this movie.
It wasn't really good to be anybody else.
No.
Yeah.
I'm sure Christopher Reeve was probably paid maybe $1 million.
So I was to say maybe $1 million, maybe $2 million.
But in 80s money, that's like,
it's a lot of money. But if you're talking about you're the star and then Richard Pryor comes in and makes double your money, that's a little crazy.
Yeah. Who do you know more?
Even with Richard Pryor being the star that he is, that's still like, yo, I'm fucking Superman. Why am I not getting at least equal money?
Right?
Because yeah, right. Because if I walk away, who's your Superman? I don't know. I would hope that Superman got his money, but maybe that's why he was so pissed off in this movie and got all upset with himself.
It's like, you know what? I'm gonna go ride a horse and then we'll see what happens.
Oh my God.
Wow! Yeah! It's okay. We're not past Superman 4 yet, so we don't have to talk about that yet. But yeah, Richard Pryor's in this movie was probably the saving grace of this film, which is probably what led to the Superman 4.
I mean, really, Superman 3 has nothing to offer. I mean, it really is
nothing.
Superman 3 was followed by a non-Superman film, but a Superman-related film. It was followed by I guess you would say, a spin-off, right?
Huh?
It was followed by Supergirl the next year.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
So, because this film, you didn't get another Superman film for 4 years.
Yep, 4 more years.
There's 4 years. There's a 4-year gap. Well, technically 3 years if you count Supergirl.
Yeah.
And Reeves was supposed to be in Supergirl.
Yeah.
But then he was like, nah, I'm not going to do this.
He's like, I'm good.
He's like, I got enough money. I'm playing polo. I'm having fun.
Yeah. Supergirl was not a good movie. I don't know. It was like I don't know what they did wrong. I think it was aimed towards girls, first of all. Like it was purposely like, let's make a Superman movie, but for girls. So it was it had a lot of the romantic stuff going on in it. There's a lot of weird magic stuff going on with it. I barely remember it. I've seen it a couple of times, but I really barely remember it.
The only thing I remember is there was an homage to the original Superman where she's at the bar and she's flicking a peanut and then it goes fucking across the room. So that was about it.
Well, and she had Superman posters in her room.
Yeah.
I don't remember. Holy crap, I don't remember that.
Here's the other problem. With the Superman and the Supergirl franchises, there's no Krypto, there's no Comet, there's no horse there's no super horse or super dog in any of these movies, which I think is probably why they failed even more. Although I'm pretty sure.
No, I don't need super dog and super horse. I don't need Speedy and the super chimp. I don't need all that stuff.
We need a super chimp.
And then getting super crippled.
How does anybody even remember how she got there? Like, how did Supergirl appear on Earth in this movie?
Wasn't they?
The movie,
God,
I
remember in the comics. I don't remember in the movie.
No, I know the comics. That's the comics is easy.
Movie.
But how the hell did she get to Earth in the movie?
God,
I don't remember. I saw the movie maybe once, and then I was like,
because it had something to do with Kandor, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the miniature city.
They did the comic, but I don't remember in the movie.
I don't remember.
Because I remember in the comic they sent her to watch Clark because he was young.
Yeah, and that worked out
She
well
got
for her.
she stopped aging, but that was
She did a great job.
So Thomas says she arrived the same way that Superman did, in some kind of, capsule shot off from somewhere.
Okay.
I have no, well, but I think it was shot from Kandor, versus
I think it was.
wherever Superman was shot from. So yeah, but literally I have absolutely no recollection of that movie.
I need to watch the movie again. I know it's a bad movie, but I need to watch it because I haven't seen that one in forever and a day.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I might order it.
Supergirl, followed by what is probably one of the worst superhero movies of all time.
Watch it.
All time.
Look, there's a scene
with Gene Hackman's voice as Superman.
That's as Nuclear Man.
Superman.
Yeah, Nuclear Man is.
There's a scene in this movie where John Cryer, who you may remember as in Pretty in Pink, where he's spinning like a fucking top in that movie. That's probably the only scene from this movie that I can recall is John Cryer spinning like that. But apparently Christopher Reeves disowned this movie. He did not want to do this. And because of this movie's failure, because they were supposed to be a number 5, they were supposed to be Superman 5, but because it did so poorly.
It's the guys that took over that done Masters of the Universe and all that done this one. It was a different company. It was the ones that done Masters of the Universe and Canon or whoever. I think it was Canon, wasn't it?
Yeah, this was Canon, yes.
Yeah, and so it's the guys that worked on it and the guy that owned that. So he's like, let's make a Superman movie. So he bought the rights
and this is the last movie, the last Superman box office movie that we get for almost 20 years.
Yep.
And also, the reason why it took 20 years to do Superman 4 and Superman Returns is because of the fact because Christopher Reeves got crippled in 1995. It shut everything down of a potential Superman 5. And then you get in the whole Tim Burton wanting to make a Superman movie and Cage being Superman, which
no.
Honestly, at this point, after Superman 5, anything goes.
No.
There is a documentary about that, making Superman. Superman Lives, I think they called it, or something like that. It's a really amazing documentary, and watching them talk about what they're trying to do with Superman, my God, Nicolas Cage puts the suit on, and they're talking about having all this electric stuff shooting through it, and I'm just like, you people are high right now. You have to be high.
Kevin Smith wrote a script for this movie, and he literally was told, "You have to write a giant spider." Into the third act. He was told that. He was told a giant spider. He's like, well, what about all the other Superman villains? Like, nope, there's got to be a giant spider in the third act. Giant spiders were the thing back then. They showed up in Wild Wild West. It was the villain in it. We need a giant spider.
Yeah, this was Bishop. Mr. Bishop has brought up something. Christopher Reeve did appear for a period. Whoops, wrong one. Did appear for a period of time as a character in Smallville, which was cool. And then, of course, he passed while he was, I don't know, in his second season of doing that stuff. So yeah, he did get to make an appearance on Smallville, which was a really fun little homage, kind of like when they put Linda Carter in the new Wonder Woman movie. It's fun to give them an opportunity.
Shows up the young Superman. Don't ride horses, son. And then he's just doing wheelies in his wheelchair.
Damn it, Jim.
Okay, maybe that's too dark. I don't know.
Too soon, maybe too soon.
Yeah, it was good. And so again, from between number 4 and Superman Returns, there are a number of odds and ends of things. In fact, this was actually earlier, prior. There was the Superboy, Adventures of Superboy, which is clearly attached to the Reeves character, indicating that this was Superboy who became Christopher Reeve down the line. I've never watched this show. I've never seen a single episode of this show, but the costume is so 100% to Reeves.
Even the little
everything. The colors are the same. The underwear is the same. Everything is the same.
The girl scares me a little bit.
And we had what's his name? He's the guy who hosted fucking Ripley's Believe It or Not.
Dean Cain.
Dean Cain,
Yeah.
fucking Lewis and Clark.
Yeah.
Lois and Clark.
Lois and Clark. Yes, Lois and Clark, which I hated that show. I hated that show.
Was weird. It was.
I don't
odd.
think anybody I know that I knew one guy that was like, Lois Clark's great show. It's Superman. I'm like, fuck Superman.
My boss at the time, I was working in a comic book store at the time. My boss at the time loved that show, but he didn't love it for any other reason than Terry Hatcher. That was it. He was like, yo, Terry Hatcher, man, she's got that stuff. And I was like, well, that's fine. But the show has no stuff.
It offered nothing for me. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And then for the longest period of time, the only Superman thing that existed was a little show called Smallville. Somehow figuring out a way to run for 10 years without ever giving you Superman.
Yeah.
One of the strangest concepts, but also I will give them credit. Once they kind of got out of the first couple of seasons, which were very sort of monster of the week and like, oh my God, we found more kryptonite kind of episodes. Once they got out of about season 2 and got into season 3, it did kind of pick up and become its own thing. And we were finally like, okay, we're not going to get Superman. Fine. So what are we getting here? What is this actual show? Right to the point where they even had Zan and Jaina, the Wonder Twins, were in this freaking thing. And Gleek, the monkey, makes an appearance.
Yep.
Anybody catch that?
Yep. Yeah. Look,
on the back of her phone is a bejeweled Gleek, the monkey.
Smallville was a show that there was a kid that I really didn't like, and he was like, my favorite show is Smallville. And I'm like, fuck you, I hate that show. But to give that show credit, Michael Rosenbaum, who plays Lex Luthor in the show, I thought was a really good Lex Luthor.
And I really like John Glover in that show too.
The show had some good things with it, but also like you mentioned before, Tom, it's a Superman show about Superman.
Yeah, very strange. I mean, they even had Doomsday in the thing, for God's sakes.
Sam Worthington is like Doomsday, and I was like,
yeah. I mean, as they got towards the end, they realized, okay, guys, we gotta do something here to kind of start to level it up. Yeah. And of course, finally, for I can't think, what's the guy's name?
Tom Welling.
Finally, this fucker gets to wear the suit.
Yeah, finally, there we go.
And it's very reminiscent of Brandon Routh's costume. If you look at that S and the design of it, it is very Brandon Routh. Now, this is not indicating that they are the same thing, because they're not. Smallville is not connected to any other Superman thing. But it is interesting that they did that design to kind of look like Routh's design.
Didn't they have him to come back for what was that show, the Infinite Crisis or whatever?
Welling did come back for Infinite Crisis. Yes.
A small scene or something.
Yep.
Really?
Yeah.
And so did Brandon Routh. Brandon Routh came back as Superman, but he came back as the
Adam.
As the what the fuck is that thing called? Kingdom Come, as the Kingdom Come Superman.
Shit, dude.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
That's really cool.
I'll tell you this, completely unconvincing. Completely unconvincing.
Really?
Like, because if you know the Alex Ross Kingdom Come Superman, he's a very thick dude, right? He's got the jawline. You look at Routh in that, he's all slim and this is like, dude, you are not pulling this visual off. I don't know how he worked as far as like the acting part of it, but the visual was like, this looks terrible. In fact, this is so bad I have to show you.
Because I know Brandon came back into the DC universe as the Atom.
Yeah, the Atom, correct.
Was it Legends of Tomorrow? Which actually, it was a good show until it got into the drama of the week episode, every week. And I was like, I'm done with this. Like when they had the guys from Prison Break as Heatwave and Captain Cold, I thought that was really cool. That's pretty clever. Hey, these guys have they broke out of prison.
Yeah.
That's really cool. That's the perfect casting in a TV show in the last 20 years. I think that's wow, that's really good for you guys. That's great.
So here's Brandon Routh, Kingdom Come Superman.
Oh shit. So basically, okay.
So you got the black S, all of that stuff is there, but just the visual of his neck and like it's not the Alex Ross
he needs
image.
that
No.
jawline.
He's
still in his 30s in that photo. He's
Damn.
not an old man Superman. I remember, so Superman Returns, I saw that. That's the first movie that I ever seen in an IMAX theater.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, damn.
Superman Return, and that was it Kevin Spacey was Lex Luthor?
Yep.
And
Now,
that actually,
and this was a direct sequel to Part 2, Superman Part 2. It's a direct sequel to Part 2.
To give that movie credit, this is a movie where they don't need to fucking explain. Like, everyone knows who Superman is. They don't need a fucking origin story. Like, it's not like Spider-Man every few years where it's like, well, he's Spider-Man, he got bitten by a spider, Uncle Ben dies,
blah blah blah.
I'm gonna tell you this. I give this movie a lot of credit. Like, there's a lot of people that like really shit on this movie, and I understand why. I completely understand why, because it was very, very derivative of the first two. Not just in that it was a sequel to them, but it was super derivative of it. It's like, hey, here comes Lex. He's worried about land again. All this kind of stuff. So there was a lot of derivative stuff, but it was also, to me, I just thought it was in some ways a good organic continuation, because you had the story basically is after Part 2, maybe Part 3, but after Part 2, Superman's like, look, I'm going back out into space. I got to go figure out what's going on with Krypton.
Yep.
Going back. They found the remains of Krypton in space, and he's going to go figure out what's going on, see what he can find. That's the gist of it.
Yeah.
He's gone for a number of years. He comes back. Lois has moved on, has a kid with somebody else, with Cyclops. Incidentally, it's Cyclops, isn't it?
Yeah, James Marsden. Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Has a kid with Cyclops. And then he comes back, and life kind of picks back up, but he's now removed from Lois. He has to get back into the planet, all these kinds of things. And then, of course, Lex Luthor with his plan to create land using the crystals. Again, a direct callback to the original movies. He wants to use the crystals to create land like they did with the Fortress of Solitude. Yep. So all of that makes sense to me. It all works for me.
Yeah.
Brandon Routh was pretty good in the role, considering he had to become Christopher Reeve. I mean, it was a Christopher Reeve movie with Brandon Routh. So I really don't hate this movie. It's not great. But it's perfectly watchable to me. There is an interesting cut scene that they did with actually Superman finding the remains of Krypton in space that was not in the movie. It's a deleted scene, and he actually flies out. He finds the chunks of Krypton, and he actually almost dies because it's all, the whole fucking thing is kryptonite, and so then that's why he ends up coming back to Earth and falling back to Earth like all knocked out, versus just like coming back and landing. So yeah, there's some really great callbacks, like when he saves Lois in the plane. He, at the end of the scene, he's like, hey, I hope you all realize that flying is still safer than driving, which is what they did in the first movie when he saves Lois from the helicopter. He's like, no, Miss Lane, flying still is much safer than, I hope this didn't turn you off to flying. So there's some really great callbacks to it, but it definitely is a little more derivative than it should have been to be a pushed sequel. Plus, you have the idea that the kid is actually Superman's kid.
Yep.
Which kind of throws away the whole bit in number 2 about him needing to become human in order to be with humans. Because clearly they had the sex. Now, unless she was, well, no, she couldn't be artificially inseminated because he wasn't there. So they clearly knocked some boots, and then he bailed and came back like 6 years later or something, and the kid's 6, and the kid is Superboy essentially. Which I thought was interesting. I was like, yeah, I'm game for that. There was a fun scene where they see the kid wearing Aquaman pajamas, which was funny. So yeah, okay, so now I'm gonna let you guys tear it down because I've told you why I like it.
I'm with you. I love this one. Me and Christy loves it. We saw it at the theater. The only thing, the only small gripe I have against it, I didn't like Lois's character in this one. For some reason, what's her name? I forgot her name.
Kate Bosworth.
She just rubbed me the wrong way as Lois. Kind of like the way, and even the new one. What's her name? The new one.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
the office girl that sells purses. I can't think of her name.
Yeah.
Pam.
No, not Pam. It's there's in the office. There's one episode where a girl comes in and sells purses, and then she ends up dating Jim for a while.
Yeah.
But I can't think of her name.
Yeah, I loved it. I loved the rest of the movie.
I mean, I get that. I think part of that, to me, Amy Adams. There we go. Yeah, it was Amy Adams.
Yeah, Amy Adams
is the new Lois. I think a lot of problem with her probably though was that her character had to be so different because she was like, I'm with Cyclops now. I have a baby now. I can't do this. She's trying to write that the world doesn't need Superman. It's like a hard left with Lois. And so it's a very different character. But of course, in the end, they, Cyclops realizes, well, you need to be with that guy. Probably.
And like, I haven't seen it in a while, so I'll probably watch it tomorrow since I had the pack. And I'll probably watch it tomorrow. I'm like, oh, okay, I get it. I like it better now.
No, I'm not even telling you that you're wrong because it is different. But I think there were reasons. I think there were story reasons that kind of forced her to do things that we wouldn't like as an audience.
Yeah.
But I think it was part of it too. Is like we're supposed to be rooting for them to get back together.
Yeah.
Get it, Lois.
Here's So here's a really weird story, and then we'll keep going. But this goes back to Margot Kidder, right? There was a time when Margot Kidder basically went cuckoo.
Mm-hmm.
If you guys remember that, she mentally went cuckoo. She was found in the backyard of a house, crawling over fences in Burbank, Glendale area in California, just wandering around aimlessly in people's backyards. That was my friend's backyard. Like I knew who that guy was. Yeah.
Holy crap.
I was like, that's the weirdest story I've ever heard. And the fact that I knew the guy that found her, it's like, that's really strange. That's super, super strange. Eventually she got herself turned around. She started doing some cons and stuff, which was really good. And then of course we lost her really honestly, even with her age, we lost her way too soon. As well as Mr. Reeves. So Gene Hackman's still around, but that dude hasn't acted in like 20 years.
Right. I mean, when you play Lex Luthor and you're in a Sam Raimi film and a bunch of other films, you're like, I'm gonna retire.
I'm good.
I was a cowboy and I killed Leonardo DiCaprio. What more do I need to do?
That's pretty strong. It's a pretty strong finale. I killed Leonardo DiCaprio. That'll be on his headstone. Gene Hackman killed Leonardo DiCaprio.
One of the few people who killed Leonardo DiCaprio in a film, other than the iceberg.
The iceberg didn't kill him. The water killed him.
Oh yeah. No, Rose is the one who killed him.
Death by water.
On that door to put his on.
They could have said Rose killed him too.
Oh my god!
They both could have got on that goddamn door.
They couldn't. They couldn't. Not because of the size. And I keep having this discussion with people. I will clearly have to have a discussion with you. Because it's not the size of the door or whatever it was, the piano top or whatever it was. Well, that wasn't the point. The point was the displacement of the weight. If they were both on it, it would sink and they would both be in the water. That's the point. So he was like, nope, you sit on there and I'll just hold on to the edge and make sure I don't die. But he died.
He did.
He did. Yep.
He did.
He did. So again, so Jim, what are your Superman Returns thoughts?
Honestly, I saw it honestly, I never rewatched this film. I saw it the one time in the theater and I was like, that's enough for me. Because also, again, like I may have mentioned this earlier, I am not a DC Comics guy. I am a Marvel guy.
So you love Catwoman. You love Catwoman, right?
Yeah, you love Catwoman.
Oh yeah, Halle Berry. Oh, But no, Superman to me is just like, all right, I get it. Like he's Superman. Like, okay, he beat Kevin Spacey. Okay, good for him. Like, and it was just like, I don't need to see this movie again. I know what's gonna happen. He's Superman. But yeah, I just they had a couple scenes, and I'm like, okay, and like I remember these scenes, but
no, and that's the whole thing. Is it's like it's a perfectly fine movie, but it's not something that you're like you come out and you're like, damn, I want to see that again.
right,
Like that's it. It's just this kind of okay, we got another Superman movie, but there was no escalation to push it to a point where you're like, fuck, that was good. Yeah, 100%.
Kevin Spacey and his dogs. Like I remember those dogs in that movie, and then I was like,
the dogs.
There was dogs in that movie. He had dogs. I think that they ended up eating or something. I don't remember. There was something with the dogs. Like
they turned in something. Or
the dog dies in that movie. I'm pretty sure he had like little purse dogs. I don't remember. Again,
God, I'm not
16 years ago, and I haven't seen it since then. So that's all I can vaguely remember.
Yeah, I've only seen it maybe 3 or 4 times total. And I just remember it's watchable, but it's not like, hey, well, you want to watch a Superman movie? Yeah, throw in Superman Returns. Like that's never the answer. Is put in Superman Returns.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think it's really cool what they did later on with the Arrowverse. The Stephen Amell's getting another paycheck. Like, hey. Here's the guy. He's playing the Atom. He's the same guy who played Superman. We could have him in the Infinite Crisis, and then that's how they bring Captain Cold back, and that's how they bring a lot of different actors or actresses who were different characters in other DC-related franchises into the fold.
Yeah, what's funny is, and that's an interesting thing too, because we were talking about John Cryer being Lex Luthor's like cousin or nephew. He plays Lex Luthor in the CW stuff. He actually got to be Luthor later on.
Forgot about that.
He worked his way up. He's like, I went from nephew to the man himself. Like 2.5 men later, here I am.
Totally forgot about that.
Yeah. It's crazy. There's a lot of craziness in what Warner Brothers does with their TV stuff and all of that. And that was the one thing about Supergirl. I remember when Supergirl came out, the one with Melissa Benoist. I remember when it came out, I was like, I'm in for this. Give it to me.
Mm-hmm.
Show me something. And this was after Man of Steel. But I was like, if this is in the Man of Steel universe, I'm out. And so I remember the very first scene with Superman and Supergirl, and they're like walking. I think like to Ma and Pa Kent's place. So they're on the farm or something, and they're basically just holding hands and they're just walking, right? And you look at the collars for their costumes. Or for Superman's costume anyway. And it was that light blue, that Christopher Reeve blue.
Yep.
Like I lost my shit. I was like, oh shit, that's Christopher Reeve Superman. This is not Man of Steel. Like I lost my mind. I was like, this is going to be awesome. And then I never watched the show again.
I watched the first season.
I don't know the Superman on that show. I don't know the actor's name.
Well, that's a whole different thing. They brought him in later too. Yeah, there is a Superman from that show, which we can show you a picture of. But I have it here somewhere. There it is.
Yep.
I suddenly I watched the episode, the pilot, and I really liked it, and I was like, yeah, this will be cool. And I never watched it again.
He's not like he's not treated the way they treat him on the show, which I like. That it's a Supergirl show. It's not Superman, it's Supergirl. So they're not going to be like, Superman is God, he's the great. It's like, no, fuck that. It's Supergirl. Fuck off, Superman. We don't need you. Like he'll come in for, 2 episodes, but it's not like, oh my God, Superman. Like, no, it's just like Supergirl, like, hey man, like I'm getting my ass kicked and Green Arrow's here and Flash is here, but we really need you because you're the only one that can do shit. Like fucking Flash can run fast and Green Arrow, he's got like 12 arrows. Like what can he fucking do?
He's got 12 arrows.
So we're gonna have to bring in Superman because Supergirl can only, fight off 50 aliens at a time. Like, come on. Like,
agree, Thomas. I do agree with Thomas on that. She was a good one.
Yeah, I have no problem with her at all.
Yeah,
I don't know what it was. And in reality, I never got into any of these CW shows. Even Green Arrow, I got into season 2. I got about halfway through season 2. Never watched another one. Watched like 4 episodes of The Flash. Nope. Legends of Tomorrow. Nope. I could not latch on to any CW stuff.
The Flash I got into until it became of a will they won't they fuck on the Flash with Iris and Barry, and then the Legend. So the only reason why that I got into Legends of Tomorrow was because Captain Cold and Heatwave were in the first season, and I really love those characters. The fact that the Prison Break guys, they're the those guys in that show. And then Heatwave eventually goes on to season 2. I won't spoil what happens to Captain Cold.
Yeah.
When Captain Cold comes back from a multiverse and he's a homosexual with the Ray, and it's like whatever from Universe X, which I think is a Marvel thing, but whatever. Or no, Earth X. I'm sorry.
Earth X.
That is a Marvel thing, yeah.
So literally they go to Earth X and there's a gay Captain Cold. And it's the same Captain Cold, but he's in a relationship with the Ray. But that's the only reason why I watched the Legends of Tomorrow. I got really into that until like the third, maybe it was the second season. Second season, it started getting weird with the alternate timelines and like, well, here's Zoom, and here's fucking the Ra's al Ghul. And I'm like, all right, I'm fucking done with this. Like, this is fucking weird.
Wow, how did they get away with that? That is legitimately a Marvel thing. And then it was put into that. Yeah, Earth 1. Yeah.
They called it Earth X. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Earth X for a while, yeah.
Yeah, it was like an Alex Ross book, Earth X.
There's the 52 multiverses of the DC universe, and the 10th multiverse is called Earth X.
Yep.
And it's the Nazi universe. But I don't know. I don't fucking get it. It's weird.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Yeah, this new thing. We'll put these guys back up. There is a new show now. It's a new Lois and Clark show with this dude, Tyler Hoechlin. I don't know how you pronounce his name. I've heard good things about it. I've heard actually really good things about it. I am not watching it because I know I'm not going to be able to get into it. But I've heard really good things. I've heard that it's very reminiscent of sort of the Christopher Reeve sort of style. Of that stuff. Not the bumbling, maybe more George Reeves even than Christopher Reeve. Not the bumbling dude, but just the tone of like the 70s Superman. Supposedly.
I did see a picture of it, and he does have the Fleischer cartoon suit.
Yes.
Like it's the black with the S and the circle, the yellow circle around it. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. Like they went back that far to the Fleischer cartoon.
Well, that's I think that's his history. Like they're using that as his history. He doesn't wear that in modern times. I think that was a flashback. I think. I may be wrong, but I think that was a flashback. And now he's more in this type of this whatever this thing is. I think, but I may be wrong because again, I haven't watched it.
That'd be cool.
So.
I haven't watched it either. I just saw pictures. I was like, oh, that's really cool.
So yeah, everybody seems to think that it's working. So that's cool.
Oh wow,
cool,
Trish.
Whatever.
When are they doing Legion of Superheroes show? Where's that?
Legion of Superheroes. Who the hell wants that?
I don't know.
Nobody wants it.
CW.
Nobody wants Legion of Superheroes.
Say Legion of Superheroes.
No.
Superfly, young Clark Kent.
No. Legion of Superheroes. Nobody buys the comic. Why would they put a show on?
I don't know. I mean,
they can barely make the Teen Titans work, man. How are they going to do 100 superheroes with Legion of Superheroes?
I still need to see Doom Patrol. Apparently, Doom Patrol was actually good. I
like it. I'm starting to like it.
It's bad.
Did you watch the full season?
No.
Oh,
I got to episode 3. I'm like, this is dumb.
Shit.
It's got my boy, the King of the Mummies in it.
But again, no, Brandon Fraser's in it. Yeah. It's just not. I can't figure out. It's like you're talking about, like you're a Marvel person, not a DC person, right? I just can't connect to any of these TV shows, even Marvel TV shows. I cannot find a way to care about any of these characters. And I'm a big Teen Titans fan. So for me, I was like, oh, Teen Titans. And then we had this Robin going, like, fuck the Batman. I'm like, nope, that's not going to happen.
Yeah. That's Robin.
You have immediately lost me right there. So yeah, I don't know. I cannot connect to any of that stuff. Even giving the opportunity to binge it and just like go through it, which I have friends that are like, here, you can just take the DVDs. I'm like, I don't want to do that?
Yeah.
They did a Teen Titans cartoon, not the one that they do now, or maybe they don't do it now. Not the
Well,
Teen
that's the cartoons. That's way different from the TV
Yeah.
show.
Teen Titans, the original cartoon that was like what 20 years ago, was actually it was good.
I had those.
The animated series are often okay. I rarely have problems with those things, but when you come to the live action, it's just like, oh man.
Yeah,
and I'm not even taking away their efforts, because like the Flash, like the costumes look good, like all that stuff. It, you know, from a visual sense, it works, but from a storytelling standpoint, I cannot connect to it.
Well,
Not a single one. Not a single. I still have not finished Daredevil season 2.
I actually haven't either.
Was that the one with the Punisher in it?
With the Punisher, yeah.
Yeah.
How many seasons?
They
did 3 seasons or 2 seasons?
They only did 2. They only did 2. Yeah.
I haven't seen that. I haven't seen the Punisher. I haven't seen Jessica Jones. I haven't seen Luke Cage. I haven't seen Iron Fist. And I haven't seen Defenders.
Yeah.
Well, the Iron Fist.
The Iron Fist is terrible. I saw the first Iron Fist. I was like, oh my god, you guys are gotta be kidding me, right?
They could have renamed it the Iron Dialogue, because he's not really the Iron Fist. It's all fucking talking the whole fucking time.
No, I want some Shang-Chi shit.
Action. It's literally like, literally every other scene. I'm the Iron Fist, and then he doesn't fight, and then like he fights like on the 10th episode, and it's like, fuck off, man! Like fucking Finn Jones.
So apparently, there's 3 seasons of Daredevil. I'm never watching.
Oh, there is 3 seasons.
Never watching.
I heard that the guys who play the Punisher, Daredevil, Iron Fist, Luke Cage, and Power Woman or whatever, Jessica Jones, they're all coming back into the MCU as the same characters, but in a different way,
different tone.
That's what I heard.
I don't know what a different way means.
I think it's they play the same characters, but it's a different universe.
Oh, well, I have no problem with kind of resetting them into the Marvel universe. I mean, that's no big deal. I don't really care what they do with them, but for me, if they were to be like, hey, we're going to put Daredevil in the Marvel universe, and it's not that dude, that would be really weird to me.
Yeah, that'd be really weird.
Just because he is established as Daredevil. So just fucking figure out a way to put him in there. So that to me, it makes sense.
They really dropped the ball with the Defenders, because again, with the Netflix shows, they really like, it's all dialogue focused. It's not like, hey, here's Daredevil and Luke Cage and Iron Fist, and they're all these heavy guys who could fight. Like, it's all like blah 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 blah. Like, I'm Iron Fist, I'm Luke Cage, I'm Jessica Jones, and I fucked Luke Cage, and we're together. And we're going to talk about it for 5 episodes, and then we're going to find a mysterious dragon that's under New York that's not even there. And fucking
please tell me it's Fing Fang Foom.
Fing Fang. I heard that Shang-Chi, the movie, the 10 Rings of Mandarin, which again they fucked that up with Iron Man 3, but I heard that Fing Fang Foom will be in the Shang-Chi movie, because they did a pop, one of those Funko Pops for him. But he's not green. He's not the green Fing Fang Foom. He's like a weird color. But like, granted, most of the Marvel universe,
I know,
they don't show as the original what they were intended to look like, comic versions, which is okay. But apparently, we're getting Fing Fang Foom and Shang-Chi. But also Shang-Chi, I'm just like, I don't give a shit about Shang-Chi. I never did.
Never. The same way.
There's nothing. If it's a Moon Knight movie, fuck, I may give.
Didn't we just get the Shang-Chi movie called Mortal Kombat? Like, isn't that what we just got?
Oh, is that Shang-Chi Cole? Yeah.
Because I've been dying to talk about this movie. This is the greatest movie of 2021, and no one agrees with me.
It's a pile of garbage. It's a pile
so
of garbage.
Good. It's the best
garbage. Speaking of garbage,
hey,
we gotta talk about Man of Steel. Shit, we got 30 minutes to go. I thought we got
garbage.
7-Eleven's behind them.
Well,
they were a sponsor of this movie.
I'm going to let you go first, David, and then I'm just going to destroy everything that you know about this movie.
You can destroy where the hell
No, but listen, I cannot for the life of me understand why anyone legitimately likes this movie. Not because of what the movie is. Like if it was the only, like if you take it and put it in a vacuum, and it is the only ever Superman you have ever seen, right? No, I'm not saying you, but just as a generalization.
No.
If it is the only Superman that you've ever seen, and it's the only thing that you have any context of what Superman is, then I get it. It's like, oh, this is Superman. He comes from Krypton. You get, because you get the story. You know, all the story is there. But if you have any context of the previous movies or the comics, it is so far away from this.
That I agree with you.
That's where it stumbles, and not just with Superman himself, but his entire back story, starting from Krypton all the way to Pa Kent, all the way to forward.
I agree, and this is where, like, okay, here is what I think of Man of Steel. I like it. The thing is with me is I love Henry Cavill Superman.
He's okay
if he's done right. Warner Brothers shit on Superman with this movie. I am sorry. I'm going to say it. Because they didn't make him what Superman was supposed to be.
Yeah, and this is another part that has to be accounted for. Is that this isn't just Snyder coming in and saying, we're going to do it this way. This was a period of time where DC, Marvel, Warner Brothers, whatever, was in a legal battle for elements of Superman. And there was a very real possibility that they could lose. And if they lost, they would lose the rights to elements of Superman. Okay. And so that's why the New 52 happened, where they rebooted Superman and everything.
Oh, shit.
And at the same time, that's where that's where Man of Steel came out. And again, it's why it's not called Superman. They don't even call him Superman in the movie. So there was a mandate from Warner Brothers, like Zack Snyder. Look, this is what we need it to be because of these potential reasons. And so you can't just come in and say Snyder made a shitty movie, because he literally had mandates of, we need this stuff to happen in certain ways so that we can protect ourselves for our Superman going forward should something happen with the lawsuit.
I do like Snyder. Like I must say, I like his other movies. I like Watchmen. I love Dawn of the Dead. I love his remake of Dawn of the Dead. I want to see, was it War of the Dead coming out on Netflix? It's a sequel to Dawn of the Dead.
Batista's in that, and that guy blows ass.
Oh, I'm thinking the same thing, but I'm
that guy sucks.
Yeah, I know.
That guy's terrible. I can't watch anything that he's in. I will probably. It's on Netflix, so I'll probably give it a try. It's easy.
Yeah, I'll give it a
cost me any money, but I would never go pay for it. Snyder is a lot like, to me, like the guy that we talked about earlier, the Superman guy that was going to make Superman with Nick Cage.
Tim Burton.
Tim Burton. He's very Tim Burton to me. Not in style, well, in some ways in style, but more like very hit and miss. Like, I love some Tim Burton stuff. I love Edward Scissorhands, so on. Same with Snyder. I love The Watchmen. I love 300. I love that. What was it? Day of the Dead, Dawn of the Dead that he did. Like,
the Dawn of the Dead.
But Man of Steel is terrible. Justice League is terrible. Batman vs Superman is terrible. These are terrible movies.
Did you like
and not in the context of like, hey, I know there's terrible movies like in the 50s. Those are terrible movies. But like when you consider what he had at his ability to do, what he came up with just never ever really pays off.
It just, I liked it. I went to the movies and I saw it twice because I wanted to see it with two people. Wanted me to go sit with them. And I liked it. Like, I don't know. I have a very odd likings with the DC movies. I like them. I watch them. When I watch them, I'll sit. I kind of enjoy them. I don't know. It's just odd. Like, but at the same time, I'm like, they still kind of rub me the wrong
here's
way.
the thing with Snyder. He is really, quite honestly, very brilliant from a visual storytelling standpoint, from a director standpoint, from a cinematography standpoint. Like, what he's showing you is really, really good. We just got to get him away from the writing part of things and the creation of all this stuff, because just let him do the visuals, man. Put a real writer on it, put a real heavy duty script writer on it, and then let this guy come in and be like, that's a fucking good script. Let's blow this shit up with some awesome visuals. And then you got something. It's like Sucker Punch, man. Sucker Punch visuals are crazy, but that story is whacked.
Yeah. And
It's
the Germans
whacked,
words.
completely whacked. Man of Steel starts off poorly from the beginning. Oh, go ahead, Jim. You got something to say?
Yeah,
I
go, Jim.
got something to say.
Yeah, go.
Go.
Kevin Costner getting killed in a tornado.
Oh, we'll
Best-
get to that. Trust me. We'll get to this nonsense.
There you go.
Yeah, it starts off poorly and everything from a design standpoint. Superman, Man of Steel starts off poorly. Yeah, go ahead. What's up? What are you doing?
Me or David?
What's happening?
Like, what's the nice one?
Me or is it David's turn?
No, it's your turn.
Okay.
Like Kevin Costner going.
Two takeaways that I took from this movie.
Okay.
So I saw this when I was underway on a submarine. I saw it. I think I want to say it came out around the same time that the Dark Knight Rises came out, where they broke Batman's back with Bane and everything. But the two things I remember: one, Kevin Costner getting killed by a tornado.
Yep.
Two, the most realistic Superman thing ever, where he's fighting Zod and they fuck up the whole metropolis, and then they're like, well, you done fucked up, Superman. You fucking ruined our fucking city, motherfucker. Like, that's all I got to say about that. But like,
yeah, and that's what I'm saying. They're even in legitimately terrible movies, there are always still pieces that are good, that work. And this movie is no different. Most of the problem that I have with it, again, is basically the backstory. Once you get to where they're fighting Zod and everything, that's fine. Like, just do whatever you're doing there. But it starts off poorly just from a design standpoint. Everything, first of all, Krypton, fucking boring. There's weird monsters running around in herds. What is going on? He's riding avatar birds. Jor-El is riding avatar birds.
Who was Jor-El in that movie? Was it Russell Crowe? Yeah. Fucking Gladiator, man. The fucking guy who literally fought tigers himself as the fucking father of Superman.
As we talked about earlier, everybody's in black. Everybody's just wearing black. It's just put everybody in black. Really boring as fuck. Design-wise, everything was a mess. Here's the thing to watch, guys. Something really fun. When they catch the bad guys and they put them in the Phantom Zone, they're all standing like, yeah, you're going to the Phantom Zone, and then like all the glass kind of stuff kind of creeps up on them, and then they shoot them up into the rocket ship. It just looks like a bunch of dildos being shot into space. Yeah. Like, who looked at this and said, this is a good design right now? This looks so wonky. It's just terrible. It's just terrible.
Comes on, I'm like,
and then there's just motivations, right? So obviously you have to compare, movie to movie to kind of understand things. But in the Man of Steel movie, they're talking about sending, or in the original movie, they're talking about sending Clark to Earth, and she's concerned that, this is going to happen. Same with Laura here. But basically what it comes down to in the new movie is Jor-El's basically like, look, to them, he's going to be a god. I'm like, what? That's not that's not Jor-El motivation right there. Like, we're going to send him here because he'll be a god. Now, I know that's part of Snyder's story, is the whole, it's super Jesus is in my Superman is super Jesus. And I get it. That's part of what he's trying to do. But again, it's just not a thing. It's like, it doesn't make sense to me motivation wise. There's no backstory in the Phantom Zone. There's really not much in the original movie though either, other than them saying that Kal-El or Jor-El discovered it. I mean, that's because they threatened to put him in it. They're like, we'll put you in the Phantom Zone that you discovered, like that's the backstory. But design wise, it's just, everything is bad. The spaceship that they fire him off in is bad. And then he goes through his childhood in these flashback sequences where, again, we're struggling because this is where Pa Kent comes in, and Pa Kent is supposed to be this sort of moral, point, for him. Right. And you have the scene where he saves the kids, and Clark's like, well, what should I have done? Should I let them all die? And he's all, maybe. I'm like, what? Yeah. No. Way too much on the super Jesus part. Like, way too much on the, we have to hide you forever because otherwise blah, blah, blah. Maybe. Like, no, you don't tell your kid not to save a bus full of kids. That's not Pa Kent. And then it comes all the way to this little scene where, once again, even though we've had scenes now where he's basically telling Clark, look, at some point people are going to know. At some point you have to choose to be the man that you want to be, good or bad. And by the way, don't save me, because then people will know that you're a good guy and you're saving people. Like, no, none of this makes sense.
Maybe he couldn't fight a tornado, and that's why he's going no.
No, he would have zipped in, grabbed him, and zipped out.
I know.
Do you know how much it costs to hire Kevin Costner for a movie now? the budget alone to have him in the potential sequel. They're like, nope, fuck it, kill him off because we can't afford him.
He's in all of them though.
He is.
He's in all of the sequels.
Flashback scenes.
Yeah, he's in all of them. Very small. He's only got a few scenes, but he's in all of them. Yes.
I think the only one he wasn't in. Was he in Justice League? He wasn't.
He was in Justice League.
I didn't see. I got to the part to where Flash was in his pocket. Then I was like, I'm not watching this.
Yeah. No, I have no problem with the actor Kevin Costner. He was a great choice for the role. But again, it's the story that just is like, what are we doing? What, this doesn't make any sense. Now, again, it's all in comparison to where we came from versus what they were kind of forced to do in some ways because of the lawsuits. But this is why I just can't stomach this movie. And then as Thomas was talking about earlier, the last it's like a 2.5 hour, nearly 3 hour movie. The last hour is all fighting. I mean, it's like, holy God, this is, I mean, I can like take a piss and come back and like nothing's really happening. Like, oh, another building fell down. Okay. You know, I also didn't have a problem. A lot of people had problems with Superman killing Zod. I didn't have a problem with that. To me, it felt organic to the story. There's one way to deal with this problem. This is what it's going to be. So that didn't really faze me. Same thing really with like when they were talking about Batman killing the bad guys with his guns on his thing. I get it. It's a little strange. It's a little weird, but you know, we're in such a dark universe for all of this with Snyder. It's such a completely like, we're in the dark with all of these characters. Superman's in the dark, Batman's in the dark, Wonder Woman's in the dark. That I'm like, you know what? It's
dark multiverse type scenario.
Exactly. And that's what it is. It's like the Snyderverse is a multiverse thing. Yeah. And that's the way I look at it. But even in that context, I guess I just don't like the Snyderverse. I don't like the way that it's built. I don't like the way that it works. I don't like the way that it runs. So, you know,
they need a more colorful, but in a way not too Marvel-y, I guess would be. They wanted to be so different from Marvel that they had to go dark, but they could have done it in their own way to be different enough from what Marvel has been doing. Yeah. But they were just like, fuck it, let's just go make it dark.
Yeah. And darker. I mean, even beyond what they did with the Bale Batman trilogy. I mean, they took it even further into all that stuff. You know, Batman's running around branding people, and it's just like, oh my God, what is this? Yeah.
Even Batman.
My favorite James Gordon is Gary Oldman. Gary Oldman.
Sure.
Really good. I like his commissioner.
Yeah. I like the guy. I like J. Jonah Jameson in the Justice League version. I'm good with that. Like, I have no problem with that. I don't really have a problem with casting in a lot of these cases. I don't like the Aquaman casting at all, but you know, the rest of it, the casting is okay. The Flash is crap in the movies. The actor is terrible. The design is terrible. I don't like Cyborg at all. Nothing about Cyborg is interesting.
Cyborg is to me, Cyborg is not a movie. It's not a Hollywood hero.
No.
Yeah.
I feel like they could have done so much better with a Green Lantern or
or putting the Martian Manhunter in that role and letting him be in the role. Yeah.
Why? And they even had They even showed a Green Lantern in the part of the haircut that I did watch.
Yeah.
Why was he not in the movie?
Yeah, I mean, in theory, there is a Green Lantern there because somebody protects that sector. So there is a Green Lantern somewhere.
Did Ryan Reynolds do that badly? Like,
I mean, yeah,
we
it's
can't
like,
do-
yeah, we know we can't put Ryan Reynolds in here, but can we not have a Green Lantern either? Like, did he destroy Green Lantern completely? Yeah.
John
Yeah.
Sturtman.
So yeah, so we can continue on with this thing. I don't like the suit. The suit is dark. I don't mind that it doesn't have like the yellow belt and stuff. I mean, it's Kryptonian. It's fine. But it's too dark. Again, it fits with the Snyder world where
Yeah.
everything is dark. But I there's nothing about the visual that I like of it. You know, it's like with Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman's visual changed, but at least it was sort of properly organic to the Amazons and what they could, should, might wear. It's still not what I want it to be, but again, it's very dark colors, very dark blues versus light blues and so on.
Yeah.
But it's fine. It works. I don't know. Batman was okay. I don't really mind Affleck as Batman. I didn't like the suit. I did not like his suit.
It was too bulky and stiff looking.
It looked like he was in a pile of straw. I mean, it just looked really strange. And I know that was the texture that was on it. It was like a weird, supposedly like, bullet resistant whatever. But it just it didn't work. He was actually okay. He surprised me as Batman. Because I was completely ready to be like, no, that's not working, guys.
Well,
but
here's the thing, right? Because you got to remember too, the reaction that people were giving for Ben Affleck Batman was the same reaction that people gave to Michael Keaton playing Batman.
Exactly.
Sure, but but I had a different reason for it. For me, Michael Keaton, I was like, he's a comedian. This doesn't make any sense. So I had that, and it worked. But for me, with Ben Affleck, in my mind, all I'm going to see is that jawline, and I'm like, dude, this is Ben Affleck cosplaying as Batman. Like from a visual sense, I was like, all I see is Ben Affleck right here. But the costume that they did, they kind of covered some of it, and it worked. It was fine.
Yeah.
I was okay with it. I mean, obviously, I still knew it was Ben Affleck, but it was a lot better than I expected just from the mask portion, and that's where I was coming from, because I like Affleck as an actor. I think he's a good actor.
Oh hell yeah!
He was the bomb in Phantoms, yo.
Yeah. Good old Phantoms and Daredevil.
I'm going to tell you something else. I'm going to say this right now. I don't hate his Daredevil movie. I don't hate that Daredevil movie.
Christy loves that Daredevil movie.
I don't love it. I'm not going to defend it, but I'm going to tell you that I don't really hate it. It's not great. I will tell you that the Elektra movie is one of the biggest piles of crap ever made.
Yeah, I agree.
Maybe worse than Superman 4, but Daredevil, it doesn't bother me. I'm okay with it.
I like the Daredevil movie also. I also like who was the guy who played Bullseye in that movie? Was that
Colin Farrell?
the Prince guy?
Colin Farrell.
Colin Farrell played Bullseye, and at the end where he takes the little and hits that fly, and it's like, oh, there's gonna be a sequel, and then there's never a sequel, and it's like, what the fuck?
Got that part where he took the card and like slit her throat. Oh, damn, that was cool.
Yeah, he was a good Bullseye. I mean, he was weird because he wasn't the comic book Bullseye, but I don't know that you could put him in a mask with a big thing on his forehead. Like, that's not going to make any sense. So it was fine. It was fine. I didn't really have a problem with that. So guys, we're more or less wrapped up here on the Superman. Anything else that we missed? Anything that you guys wanted to go over, talk about as we kind of wrap up here?
The Superman movies that they've done, the DC Universe movies in the past 5-6 years that they've done, the Doomsday movie, all the other movies. Yeah. They're those. I mean, like you said before, the animation films usually do really well in the DC.
Yeah.
Not just Superman, but in general.
A lot of the problems I have with the animation stuff is that they're just adaptions of stories, and I just don't care about adaptions like at all. I want these freaking movies to go in places I haven't been before. So that's why I kind of avoid the animation stuff for the most part.
I think if they would actually come forward, I don't know who the hell they'd get to. I know they're talking now as J.J. Abrams might come into a Superman movie. I don't think that's our answer.
I don't think you're going to see a Superman movie for a long time.
No, I don't either. if they would come in and do a legit Superman movie, make it like, back in the day, bring in a new enemy, maybe hint Lex, bring in a new Lex Luthor, but hint him. Don't make him the main villain. Make somebody like Brainiac or somebody like that the main villain, Metello or something different. And bring back Henry Cavill. I like to see Henry Cavill done right as Superman. I think if he is directed right, I think if he is it, because everybody can shit on Justice League all they want to. They can I don't care. Shit on it. Don't like it. Convince me the very first cut of the movie is at the theater. That cut scene with him and the Flash to have the race.
Yeah.
That was the best part of that movie for me. Because to me it captured some of the DC that is the shit the Superman and Flash.
Well, that's why Joss Whedon was brought on, because it was like, hey, Joss, can you kind of put a little Marvel in this and help us out a little? And that's what you got. You got really a Marvelized Justice League. There was more comedy in it. You got the whole thing with Aquaman getting wrapped up in the lasso and, being, all that kind of. There was more personality to it. It was a shit movie. But there was more personality. You could feel a tonal change, but because it was just a crap movie to begin with. I mean,
Pet Cemetery scene. I love the whole Pet Cemetery. Was it gonna be Pet Cemetery? Oh shit, he's Pet Cemetery.
Yeah, I hate that.
Take him down.
Well, and now they got the whole was it James Gunn Suicide Squad thing, which is
are you guys?
The thing with the Suicide Squad too is just like, hey. This comic book franchise, no one has really ever given a shit about. It was never in the top 5. It wasn't even in the top 10. Hell, Suicide Squad probably wasn't even in the top 20 for 30 years since it's been around. But then they were like, well, Guardians of the Galaxy. And then they're like, well, what's like Guardians of the Galaxy in DC? And then Suicide Squad. Now they're trying to make Suicide Squad the big thing of DC. And it's just like,
well, the advantage to Suicide Squad is that you can just keep feeding it, because you can kill some dudes off and you can just put another team together. So it's an opportunity to really kind of showcase a lot of weird characters. Right. And if you have the right kind of director, like you have James Gunn, if you have the right kind of director and storyteller to kind of take those bizarre characters, who the fuck cares about Peacemaker, right? But with John Cena, it's like, that's what the hell? How did that work? That's the advantage of Suicide Squad. The thing for me is I don't care. You're not getting me to see that Suicide. I saw the first one. I paid my $8. You're not getting another dime for me on Suicide Squad ever again. Unless there's suddenly characters in there that I care about. But I don't care about Peacemaker. I don't care about whoever Idris Elba is. I don't care. I don't mind Harley Quinn. I don't mind Margot Robbie. I think she's good for the role.
I like Margot Robbie.
But she has yet to be given anything really to do. She's just there for her ass. She hasn't been given anything to do yet. I think if you were to legitimately do, because that Birds of Prey thing, throw it away. If you legitimately come in and say, like, why aren't we just making a Harley Quinn movie with Margot Robbie and telling a cool, ridiculous story? Where is this? This is what I want. I don't want her Birds of Prey. I don't want her Gotham Sirens. No. Just give me a fucking. You made a Joker movie, right? Give me a fucking Harley Quinn movie.
She can't carry her own movie, or at least they don't have the confidence to let her carry.
It's possible. It's possible.
I kind of disagree with that. I think she could carry the movie. I just don't think the studio has the confidence in her.
Yeah, well, there's a big difference between confidence and being able to, and you have to earn the confidence. I think she could do it. I mean, did you watch her in I, Tonya?
No, I want to see that so bad. I keep forgetting.
Great movie.
God.
And she is the epitome of Harley Quinn. She knows the character. So all you really have to do is put that character in a situation that allows her to thrive. That requires writing, which DC struggles with a little bit. But I think she could do it. Now, that doesn't mean that she can't have a co-star of some sort. Obviously, I'm not just talking about Harley Quinn walking down the street and hitting people with a mallet, but have it focus
I
on
would-
her. You know what I'm saying?
I would kind of like to see like her, but like I said, her in the prominent role. But I'd kind of like to see a movie with her and Poison Ivy just a little bit.
See, that to me is so overdone, so
I agree.
cliche,
I do agree with that.
so it runs into the agenda part of it, where hey, let's just turn everybody gay. You got to be really careful with that. You got to be really, really careful with that.
do agree
Now,
with
I know
that.
that she's not gay. She's gay in like a
Right.
an alternate universe thing where they're married and so on. That's whatever. I mean, and I don't even care what they are, but you got to be careful with when you're talking about sending a movie to the general public. You have to be really careful with what you're presenting. Otherwise, you're going to run into the people that are anti that, and they're going to be like, "Well, I can't believe they did that. I'm not going to watch your movie." So you've got to kind of start somewhere and let it build to reach those extra levels. And right now, there's no foundation for any of it.
They could do a whole Deadpool type thing with her, but they're just like, well, we don't want to copy Deadpool because that's Marvel. And it's like, well, fucking just figure it out, stupid.
Well, they copy each other all the time anyway in the comics. They do.
Yeah, look, Marvel right now is making a Harley Quinn movie. It's called Cruella de Vil.
Yeah,
there
you go.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty excited about that because
it could be really good or it could be really bad.
Even if it's really bad, I feel like I could watch it on mute and have just as much fun as I would without the mute.
I think Emma Stone is an amazing actress.
Yeah.
She's gonna crush the role. We just have to see what the story is and how it's gonna work.
It's just the story.
Yeah. Because so many times you have these villain movies, right, where they try and turn them all into these sympathetic villains, and I'm like, oh my God, just make evil bad guys. We don't need.
Was it Maleficent?
Yeah,
they did 2 movies with Angelina Jolie as old girl.
Yeah.
Now they're doing Cruella de Vil, and I'm sure next they'll do Ursula, the Little Mermaid.
That'd be cool.
Oh my God, I don't know.
McCarthy
it's really funny if you watch the trailer for Cruella de Vil. It is Harley Quinn blended with the Catwoman from Batman Returns. Like there are visuals that come straight out of Batman Returns. It's really funny. It's really funny. I think it's going to be probably pretty good. So I'm actually looking forward to that.
When is that coming out? When is that? Is that
it's supposed to be this summer, I think.
I think it's a summer one.
Hold on.
Disney Plus and movie.
Okay, Google. Here we go. How do you spell Cruella?
It's supposed to be May 28th, according to Wikipedia, but I think it's been pushed.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. That's that's not what I wanted.
It's only a month away if it releases. Right now, I'm seeing May 28th, so next month.
Oh, damn!
Wow, that's pretty quick.
Assuming that holds, it's next month.
Oh hell yeah! I'm all for that.
Yep.
Is that a theater or is that Disney Plus?
It's both.
Both.
It's a bother. Yeah, it's a both.
Oh my god! It's got the fat guy from Cobra Kai in it. What's his name? He was Sting in Cobra Kai season 2. Oh man, it's gonna be great.
He is sold. Jim's like, I'm sold.
Oh yeah, never mind Emma Stone. They got Stingray from Cobra Kai season 2. Oh man, granted, that fat guy, he's been in a lot of things lately. I've seen him in It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and now, oh my God, Glenn Close is the executive producer on this movie. The original.
What?
Wow. Okay, I guess it's gonna be good. Maybe it's 2021. Guess what we're doing that? Guess what movie we're talking about that week?
Yeah.
Well, I was just about to say, I think at some point we need to do. We either need to create a segment on the show where we actually do a review of a movie, or we need to do sort of a supplemental show, like a 30, 40-minute show that's just a review of a recent movie. You know what I mean? So we can still do like these large-scale genre things, but we can also come in and be like, hey, we're going to take 30 minutes and knock out a review. I mean, we could make that as part of our show, too, if we wanted.
Yeah. I feel like
Kombat real quick.
I feel like because Mortal Kombat, we could easily be like, because I know all of us have seen Mortal Kombat now at this point.
Oh hell yeah!
Well, we need to be aware that we got to give it some time. for people to see it, because if we're going to talk, we need to talk spoilers, and we don't want to we don't want to blow it up. But if we can give everybody at least a week to kind of catch up on it, especially since almost everything is streaming now too.
Yeah.
So it's much easier
in the future, man. It's so awesome. I don't have to fucking go outside of my apartment no more. I can just fucking watch movies on my TV.
I want a goddamn theater open around here. I'd be happy.
What's funny is I actually watched last night. I watched Superman 2 and the Donner cut back to back, like 4 hours of just Superman 2 last night, to kind of get it all in my head. It was like, okay, we got to talk about this because this is crazy. Yeah.
I still do that.
I did that too. I'll tell you another thing. Any of these reboots, if you guys really want an interesting way to compare things, like I watched the original Carrie, and then I watched the reboot directly afterwards. Mm-hmm. It's really interesting to watch how filmmakers will either try to stick to what the first one did, or go completely sideways with it. Carrie was shockingly close to the original in way more ways than I realized when I had watched them separately. So it is kind of an interesting thing. If you guys ever have 5 hours to kill, just watch some reboots back to back, and let your mind really kind of soak it in how they compare.
I did Amityville Horror that way because I like the Ryan Reynolds Amityville Horror. I know I get a lot of shit for it, but I like it.
It's fine. It's
fine.
Just not. It's a jump scare movie. It's not a horror movie. It's a movie.
There's something there. There's something in the corner. There's something in the basement. But watching those two back to back, I was like, holy shit. Like the difference in them. Because like if you remember the original, they just end it. Like he goes back, it's the dog, and it ends. And
spoilers.
I was like,
spoilers.
Sorry, but if you haven't seen the old
the remake adds all kinds of stuff in the basement.
Yeah, and the remake adds some stuff to it. And I was like, oh damn, I forgot they had that much stuff to it.
The Amityville basement.
Amityville basement. Yeah, the Amityville basement.
Why is that
Amityville? Yeah, what is it?
Yeah, they're the same. That's what I'm saying, Thomas. They're very, very similar. I mean, obviously they tell the same story, but beyond telling the same story, a lot of the dialogue is similar. A lot of the shots are similar. So the director of the remake did that clearly on purpose. Chloe Grace Moretz was not as she didn't sell the role as well as Sissy Spacek.
Yeah.
But yes, they are the same movie. I mean, there was no attempt to deviate from the story. There is a crazy alternate ending though for the remake. It's really fucked up. It's really fucked up. So at the end of the movie, she goes to the gravestone, and then the hand comes up, right? That's how they both end. In the reboot ending, the girl who's the friend of Carrie is in that happens, right? The hand comes up, but then she wakes up like she was dreaming it or whatever, and she's having a kid. She's pregnant. She's having a kid.
Whoa.
And you're in the medical room, and she's there and she's screaming, and then Carrie's hand comes out of her and grabs up, like that. So the hand comes up again, but it's like she's being, it's crazy ending.
I have questions.
Okay.
Never mind.
Yeah. So we have deviated for a few minutes, but
sorry.
That's fine. Not sure what we're going to be doing next week, guys. We'll let you know. We might go ahead and add a little 30-minute review segment. Might talk some Godzilla versus Kong. Might talk some Mortal Kombat. We'll see what we're going to do from an actual review standpoint. But we'll also have something else to talk about as far as a larger scale portion of the show. So last words on Superman. Anybody? Go.
Super. Hey, Superman.
It's super. So
I love Sadanas.
Christopher Reeves was a great Superman, and then he became a not Superman.
Then came the.
You ever seen a man fly in a chair? Me neither.
Even Handyman didn't have a chair.
Yep.
Uh,
Superman fly on the table. Well, watch Richard Donner's Superman.
yeah, when people think of Superman, they think of Christopher. Usually, 9
Yeah.
times out of 10, they'll say Christopher Reeve, Superman. I'm sure-
Unless you're like 20 years old and you're into the Man of Steel, it's
That's
Christopher.
really crazy. It's really crazy to
Yeah.
think that to some people, Superman is either Brandon what's his fuck or Henry Cavill, whatever the hell.
Brandon Watts as fuck. That's good.
It's weird.
Brandon
Well, 'cause
Routh?
also, I mean, Henry, like that movie was technically probably a bomb. Was it a bomb?
Man of Steel?
Yeah,
No.
Superman Returns. Was that a
Superman
bomb?
Returns.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was like a full-on flop, but it didn't do well.
It didn't do
I
well.
definitely never remember seeing it ever like reshot or like not reshot, but repeated on cable TV. I don't remember seeing like Superman Returns is on
Well,
Friday
and
at 8 o'clock. Usually it's like Superman 1 or 2.
one of the main reasons was with that too. Like a lot of people didn't know this at the time, but wasn't that the time when it was Bryan Singer was like the director?
Yeah.
And he got in trouble for like the whole.
So interestingly enough, on Rotten Tomatoes, it is certified fresh. It is a 75%. 75% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes, 61% audience score. So even that isn't terrible.
No,
this is the same website that gives Freddy Got Fingered 11%.
No, I understand, but it's interesting to see what it says. So it's 267 reviews, and it got 75%. The audience score is 250,000 ratings, and it still got a 61%.
Damn, dude.
So it's interesting.
That is interesting. Huh.
Shame. You see it one time, you don't watch it again.
I'm going to see what it. I'm going to see what it made box office wise here.
You know what's really funny is that
2006.
The two big people in that movie, Bryan Singer and Kevin Spacey, I think they both got canceled.
I think they did, yeah.
So you had a budget of 270 million.
Yeah.
And it made worldwide, it made 391 million. So
it made its money back.
It made some money back, but it wasn't any great, no great shakes. That's
crazy. That shows you that people weren't really like, oh, Superman, like, because technically, like from what I understand is when it comes to comic books and it comes to movies or just people in general, when they think of a comic book hero, Superman is probably the most well-known because he's technically the oldest superhero.
Yeah.
Right? But movie-wise, I guess they're just like, well, we've seen enough of like at that point, Superman Returns, it's technically the 5th Superman film. We've seen enough of
Spider-Man of
Spider-Man. The Marvel way, right? But also, a lot of people who like Superman in the 1970s were super old when Superman Returns came out, and so they were more well known to probably like because at the time when Superman Returns came out, the biggest superhero movies were the X-Men.
Yeah.
It was a different world, and Superman Returns didn't really modify itself to that world. It's still, and again, they did that on purpose because they wanted to attach it to the Reeves films. Yep. But because of that, it probably missed the edge that it could have potentially grabbed without necessarily being a Snyder thing.
Right. The Singer cut.
And now I'm curious as to what Man of Steel did here. So Man of Steel was 2013. It was 7 years later. It had a budget. It had a lower budget. The budget was 225 million. And it did 668 worldwide.
Damn.
So it tripled up. So it was. Yeah. Now again, this is not. We also have to remember that as you're talking about movies through years, dollar ticket prices go up, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So this is not adjusted for inflation or anything, but based on the budget, based on what it brought in, that was what it did. So it did well, but I think they were looking to probably try and get up into the 8s or 9s with it.
They wanted to do the Marvel money.
Because you had $1 billion. What was the $1 billion one? The first one, the Avengers made $1 billion. So DC was like, "Yo, we got characters, man. Let's figure this out.
You know what I remember the most iconic Superman music from more than anything, and I'll tell you this: it's not the Superman movie. You know where I've heard that more than anywhere else that I've rewatched more than the Superman movie? Seinfeld.
Sure. Yeah.
Because
Sure.
Jerry
God.
Seinfeld is probably the most famous Superman fan.
Yeah. When they do the race in the back
Yeah.
alley. Yeah.
Yep.
The race, or they also did a clip show where literally it was like, just like epic Supermanic moments of Seinfeld.
Yeah,
God.
we'll definitely do a soundtrack show too, because I'll tell you right now, the Superman theme has to be at least in the top 5 of all time themes, at least in the top 5, if not potentially higher. It is so recognizable, so immediately recognizable, that it's got to be there. So we'll definitely do a soundtrack chit chat one of these days as well. So guys, that's going to do it for us. Thank you for joining us. Episode 18, episode 19, we'll figure out what we're going to do, but episode 20, we'll tell you right now, episode 20 is going to bring back the Nerd War episodes, where we're going to let Jim and David fight it out over what's better, and then I'll tell them why they're wrong. So next, also,
the movie, and Tom likes Corn Dog the movie.
Yes.
Also, incidentally, next week, or this coming week, because we're technically on Sunday right now. This coming week, we are going to move the show to Friday night, the 30th.
You're right.
Right, the 30th, because May 1st, multiple things are happening. Number 1, The Legend of Oz, The Wicked West Kickstarter is finishing.
Okay.
Number 2, Jim and I are going to be live on the Camp Rad Dog debuting cover art. So there's a lot happening on the 1st. So next week we will be on Friday night, April 30th, same time, 10 p.m. Eastern. We'll let you know what we're going to do, and then we'll be back the following week on the 8th for Nerd Wars. So there you go. There is your call to action. We'll see you all next week. Bye-bye, everybody.